COVID-19 has impacted us all.
It has taken lives and loved ones.
It has put our education on hold.
It has taken jobs and careers.
It has put us in danger.
Everyone has felt the impact of lockdown.
But for us, the impact has the potential to alter the course of our lives forever.
We are a generation disrupted.
But we refuse to let this pandemic steal our future.
We are resilient.
We are brave.
We are strong.
The global youth mobilization is our chance to make a change.
To find solutions that works for us, that are led by us.
We are joining forces with global organizations that are committed to helping us rebuild our communities and reset our futures.
We are calling on governments, policymakers, and brands to prioritize youth-focused policies.
We are championing our access and inclusion in education.
The Global Youth Summit 2021 will mark the start of a global movement
to channel investment, ideas, and actions to build a better future.
Young people like you and me from all over the world
are invited to submit our own solutions to local health and societal challenges caused by COVID-19.
This is our chance for our voices to be heard
and our actions to be seen.
Together, we are leading this mobilization.
We are determined to be the heart of solutions.
This is our chance
to bring our vision for a better world to life.
Welcome everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I don't know what time is there where you're watching our video or broadcasting. And today it's a little bit sad because it's our last day, the third day of the global youth mobilization. I'm Felipe, the scout from Brazil, and I'm not alone again. I'm with my friend Namrata. Hello Namrata, how are you today? Fine?
I am doing great, Felipe. Hi, everyone. I'm Namrata Sharma from India. I hope you all are doing well. Welcome to the last and third day of our plenary session. I'm sure you must be enjoying the days, the breakout sessions in the past. I definitely did. And before we start today's session, I request you all to go and watch us live on YouTube. Drop some comments, show some love, your hearts, hugs, virtual hugs. We would love to see you all there, interact with each other and with us as well. So Felipe, how has your experience been?
Oh, of course, the experience of the last days. And again, just to reinforce, please comment, everybody, keep comment because we're gonna choose some comments as we did yesterday. Okay, so don't stop to comment how was your experience. I'm work as a teacher, as I said the first day, and I watched a session talking about exchanging programs, exchanging experience during the education. Yeah, and I think this is amazing because the way that I teach here in Brazil maybe is different the way that the teachers teaching there in India maybe. So the change this experience is also. And how about your experience?
I attended the breakout session on SRHR because that is how I got connected with World YWCA. I saw sisters there, Maureen, Dr. Chandra, and today as well, I attended a session on menstruation, the myths that are related to it, how young women and girls have worked so far. My sisters from YWCA, Ronnie, Meti was there, who we will be talking with in a bit again. Trudy was there. So it's wonderful to see how youngsters are doing their part, doing their role in making the society a better place to live during these difficult times of COVID. And keep dropping your comments because we are going to look out for all your comments and we would love to read them out. Right, Felipe?
For sure. And before we go to our next session, the first session of the last day, I have to remember all of you to tag us on social medias as we did yesterday. For be concrete, yesterday I did on Instagram and you did on Twitter. Today, let's trade. I already opened my Twitter. Go there to GI Mobilization and put your photos, put your videos doing part for this event. Use our hashtag YouthMobilize. We will appear on the screen. So share this experience. Bring your friends to participate of this event with us.
Yes, and now let's move on to the first part of our third day, the last day. And for that, I would like to introduce Meti, who is a GYM board member, and she will talk about the outcome of day 2 of the summit. Welcome back, Meti. Lovely to see you here.
Hello. My name is Meti Gambachu, and I am from Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, and I am a board member for the Global Youth Mobilization, as well as a Resource Mobilization Officer and Youth Engagement Focal Person for YWCA Ethiopia. I am thrilled to be here. It's been such a rewarding experience being with you all throughout the last 3 days. Yesterday was a special day for me. It was World YWCA Day. This day celebrates the movement, the power of coming together to mobilize, inspire, energize generations to work on issues that matter, strengthening everyday activism, and so on. The day has been celebrated for decades as a day to thank members for their activism. This year, the theme was well-fitting, a celebration of leaders, in light of how difficult 2020 has been for leaders like you and me doing work on the ground. Apart from all the great celebrations of World YWCA Day, I also had a chance to attend several sessions at the summit. We started off the day with a great plenary and inspiring stories from young change makers, and also had a chance to hear from amazing, innovative solutions from young people who are implementing different solutions in their communities. I was really impressed by all the sessions yesterday and overall throughout the summit. At times, it made it difficult to decide which sessions to join, since they all seem so very inviting and interesting. We saw our partners from Ban Ki-moon Center, Cambridge International, ACT Alliance, and Kaisit Dialogue Center, Coalition of African Lesbians, Tere des Homes, the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, the United Nations Population Fund, Global Classroom, Y-Care, and the United Nations Environmental Program, World Wildlife Fund, and many more deliver impactful sessions. We also had some really exciting sessions happening just before the plenary. It had been such a pleasure to see all the active participation. We hope that you've all been inspired to action throughout the program. I would like to take this opportunity to acknowledge the many brilliant people behind the scenes that made this summit possible. Our amazing project coordination team, the Big Six designated leads, our dedicated volunteers and translators, and anyone else who contributed. You have all done something very remarkable, and on behalf of the board, we thank you. Now, we have a very special message to share with you from our own 6 organizations. We're committed to continuing our support to young people worldwide, and here to tell you more are our CEOs.
The COVID-19 pandemic is one of the biggest challenges we have ever faced.
It has affected every part of our society, every family, every community in every country across the world.
For young people in particular, the toll of lockdowns and the social and economic impact have been enormous.
Families and loved ones have fallen to the virus. 90% of young people have reported increased mental anxiety.
More than 1 billion students in almost every country have been impacted by school closures, and 1 in 6 young people worldwide have lost their jobs during the pandemic.
Community groups, sports clubs, and youth groups have been suspended or closed or moved online, removing that all-important physical and emotional contact which we all crave.
Young people, particularly young women, are more isolated, more at risk, and more likely to be the victims of domestic and gender-based violence.
A generation disrupted, forgotten.
And yet, despite this extraordinary challenge, young people have consistently shown their resilience, their adaptability, and their determination to lead.
To lead the COVID-19 response and recovery efforts.
We've seen young people rise up, organise and support their communities more than ever before.
We've seen young people saving lives on the front lines in hospitals, providing food and shelter to those in need,
socially distancing and wearing masks to protect themselves and their communities.
They've used their ingenuity, their talent, and their skills to build solutions to the challenges which COVID-19 has created for us all.
And despite all the pain, sorrow, and anger, we know that we have a generation of young people
ready to rise up to the challenge, ready to build back better.
This is why, as representatives of the world's largest youth development organizations,
made up of the World Organization of the Scout Movement,
the World Young Men Christian Association, the YMCA,
the World Young Women's Christian Association,
World Association of Girl Guides and Girl Scouts,
the International Federation of the Red Cross and Red Crescent Societies,
and the Duke of Edinburgh's International Award,
we have joined forces together to launch the Global Youth Mobilization.
The Global Youth Mobilization is a movement of young people and voluntary organizations
taking action to improve community and young people's lives
now and in a post-COVID-19 world.
Thanks to the generous support of the World Health Organization, United Nations Foundation, and COVID-19 Solidarity Response Fund,
we're investing more than $5 million in local and national youth organizations,
including direct microfunding for youth-led solutions and an accelerator program to scale up the most innovative response efforts.
We're calling on governments, companies, and policymakers to support us to invest in and scale up youth-led solutions and youth development programs across the world.
It is now time we celebrate young people's contribution and recognize them for their efforts.
Together, our movements, organizations, volunteers and young people have the collective power and influence to improve the lives of children and young people across the world.
We 6 organizations collectively serve, support, and engage more than 250 million young people every year.
We're more determined than ever to keep delivering the invaluable support our organizations and volunteers provide.
By equipping young people with the skills for life,
by championing the impact of non-formal education and learning,
by providing safe spaces for their development and volunteering opportunities,
and giving them the confidence to grow,
to discover their potential and challenge the status quo.
And we're proud to do this together.
As an alliance of the Big 6 youth organizations and through the Global Youth Mobilization.
We invite you to join us to invest in young people, in their ideas, their creativity, and their talents.
Oh my God. First of all, thanks, Mehdi, for your words, and look to that video. I think I have to say this to you guys. I'd never seen that video before, and it's truly emotional for me, truly, truly inspiring. Yeah. And I think it's like this for everyone. Absolutely. And now I have a really great part for you guys. We're gonna read some comments here. So let's do the first one. I listened to no formal education. I love the fact of the IWCA and IMCA is parting of this summit, since being part of the that community saved and changed my life. Thanks for your comment. Let's check if we have another one.
Yeah, I think we have another comment, and this one is, it reads, the enthusiasm of each speaker, panelist, and facilitator has been amazing. For sure, it has really been amazing, and thanks to the audience as well. You give us the power and the will to move on. There is another comment here, and it says, truly, I wish it was possible to watch sessions afterwards as well, since it's been hard to choose between sessions sometimes. Actually, good news for you, you will be able to do this because we will be posting the sessions on YouTube. So definitely stay tuned for that, and you will be able to cover up all the sessions. Thank you so much for your lovely comments. And this actually gives us a lot of motivation that you are willing to, hold hands with us and move ahead to motivate us further. So, Felipe, I think
for sure,
we are ready to move on. Yeah.
Yeah, we have the last comment here. And as you said, please use this session in your activities during the whole year. Yeah, use this as information for you guys. And the last comment we have here is, this has been the best summit ever. I can't wait to make change in my local community and call for action to support young people to overcome the impact of the pandemic. Thanks for your comment.
Thank you
Thanks
so
for
much.
your action. Yeah. And now we're gonna move on to our next session. And this is another important session. We'll talk about mental health, such an important topic. Yeah. And this maybe could be a little bit stressing for someone. So if this is a trigger for you of any kind of side, please be careful. Okay. So every minds matter is the topic of our next session with Ivy Murgy. The floor is yours.
Good afternoon and good. Thank you for that. You can hear me now? Yes. Thank you. So good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone from the Global Youth Summit. Welcome to the Every Mind Matters session on mental health. My name is Ivy Murugi. I'm a scout from Kenya and team lead for Scouts Healing Invisible Wounds campaign, which is an initiative by Scouts from Kenya that seeks to end stigma surrounding mental health and mental illness by engaging people in awareness conversations. We also provide safe spaces for people with lived experience to come on board and share the inspiring stories of their journeys so as to encourage more people to come out. And through the campaign, we offer psychosocial support to individuals that come forward with different issues and do referrals for those that are in need of professional therapy. I am pleased to moderate today's discussion. And I would like to begin by sharing with you some statistics on mental health, which indicate that half of the mental health conditions that exist begin by age of 14, but mostly go undetected or untreated. Depression affects around 264 million people in the world, and suicide is considered the second leading cause of death among people of age 15 to 29. Many of the people who previously coped well with these conditions are now less able to cope because of the multiple stressors that have been generated by the COVID-19 pandemic, and much higher levels of anxiety and depression are recorded among young people worldwide. This summit is an opportunity to highlight the importance of providing adequate mental health support to young people, and this session on Every Mind Matters will give young people a better insight into the challenges that they have been facing and also help them to come up with, to learn on coping mechanisms that they can use. I will now invite our speakers for this session to introduce themselves and share with us their perspective on mental health, beginning with Cynthia. Cynthia, you may go ahead.
Good morning, Ivy, and thank you. I also want you to know, Ivy, and all the young people, you must know that we're all so very proud of you for coming together and focusing on mental health. I'm Cynthia Germanata, and I co-founded Born This Way Foundation with my daughter, Stephanie, who many of you may know as Lady Gaga. And I am also having the privilege of serving as the Goodwill Ambassador for Global Health for the World Health Organization. My experience is really born out of lived experience as a parent. My daughter, similar to the statistics that Ivy mentioned, developed depression at the age of 14 in middle school. And because of that, her purpose and her passion really became helping other young people and being sure that they were better equipped to deal with their struggles than she was. And that's our work at Born This Way Foundation. So every day we focus on making kindness cool, on validating the emotions of young people all around the world, and of eliminating the stigma around mental health. And our perspective is really informed by the lived experiences of young people like yourself, along with the research that we conduct that really helps us identify the gaps and the needs in their mental health. We believe in two very important things: early prevention and also early education around mental health. And that consists of equipping young people very early to deal with their struggles as early as possible, providing them with skills and resources to support not only themselves, but also others. And also, we know from our research that there's a very strong link between kindness and mental health. So we focus extensively on fostering kind communities. And I must say, through my work as a WHO ambassador, that I see firsthand how focusing on this, how focusing on prevention, focusing on education, it actually helps save lives. And it's a priority for Born This Way Foundation. It's a priority for WHO. I do want to briefly mention, because Ivy, you mentioned the surge in suicide that we are very, very concerned about. We stepped up to that and partnered with one of our fellow partners, Find Your Anchor, on a campaign called Please Stay. And Please Stay is a suicide prevention tool that has resources, it has education, but it also, it asks you to take a pledge to please stay. And we want you to know that you're not alone, you are loved, you are valued. And this pledge has really been an incredible tool for young people around the world. So I just like to kind of end this introduction by saying, as we say at WHO, there is no health without mental health. And I'm proud of young people now for treating mental health as they do their physical health. And thank you for having me.
Thank you so much, Cynthia. I would like to bring Vera as well on board.
Thank you, Ivy. I would like to thank everyone involved in the organization of this fantastic event. It is really brilliant, and I'm very happy and proud to be here. My name is Vera Sarakvash. I am from Belarus, and I am a member of Young Women Christian Association Belarus. And currently, I work with World YWCA team in the project about sexual and reproductive health and rights and mental health as a regional coordinator for Eastern Europe. In my work in this initiative, I support young women in their past to identify and to reflect on the core and dominant narratives that they can find in public policy debate, in social media, in media about SRHR and mental health. And they can act in their communities to change them. Throughout my work and my leadership position in YWCA movement, when I advocate for sexual and reproductive health and rights, I always highlight the idea that we should protect our mental health, as it is our vital, very important value, and it is very closely interlinked with sexual and reproductive health and rights. So if we have any difficulties in mental health, and it shows in our SRHR and it's vice versa. During the COVID-19 crisis, this intersection really became very visible. And we have some problems in the lack of access to reproductive services in certain countries and everywhere around the world. And during such crisis, women can feel most vulnerable. So I'm very happy to be a part of such discussion where we can find our way to change the situation and together overcome difficulties and achieve better future for us with better SRHR and stronger mental health. Thank you.
I'm excited to have you on board, Vera. I would also like to bring on Anne to introduce herself. Anne?
Thank you, Ivy. I'm just so happy to be here with all of you. I have to say, I'm a former Scout myself. I used to work at YWCA, and I'm a big fan of Lady Gaga, Cynthia. Congratulations on having such a wonderful daughter, and congratulations on the work that all of you are doing for mental health. I am a head of communications and advocacy at UNFPA, We're the UN agency that's working on sexual and reproductive health. So thanks, Vera, for your work on that at the Y. And at UNFPA, we really support young people to make their own choices and enjoy their rights. We know that on the journey to adulthood, especially as adolescents, that adolescents need supportive relationships, services, need to be engaged. Most important, to listen to young people, to support them in what they're thinking, what they want to achieve. And this also includes comprehensive sexuality education. It's so important to know about your body, to know about your rights. And of course, this is to deal with sexual and reproductive health, because like all health, that includes your mental and your physical health. So when we say my body, my rights, we also mean my mind, my rights. We need healthy minds. We need to be able to speak our mind and have people listen to us and what we believe in. And we've seen over the last year, COVID-19 has impacted the lives of so many young people around the world. I know myself as a mother of two daughters in their 20s. They feel that their youth was stolen from them for this year. And they had this feelings of anxiety, being isolated. For many people, their schools were closed down. They face economic hardship, limited access to support systems. They couldn't be with their friends. They're doing their volunteer work, hobby sports, or anything, whatever. And they're at greater risk also with these conditions of unintended pregnancy, gender-based violence, even female genital mutilation, child marriage. We're seeing this, especially in our humanitarian sites around the world. And we see also that one of the main fears is not so much contracting COVID-19, but just being forced to be away from so many things that bring them joy and meaning in their lives. And so all of this has serious mental health consequences. And that's why UNFPA is fully committed to mental health and psychosocial support. In fact, I'm proud to announce that just this past week, our executive committee has endorsed our mental health and psychosocial support policy. And I'm also happy to report that last year in 2020, we reached 506,000 people with these services, and that included many young people. And of course, we work closely with many young people. And just to give you a few examples, in Namibia and many other countries, we work with youth networks. We have a group called YPeer. They do outreach, and they were very active in countries around the world in sharing information on COVID-19 prevention, mobilizing access to services, to connecting to other people, helplines, hotlines. One thing that I found very cool that was in Eastern Europe and Central Asia, young people really lent themselves as volunteers to be with older people, especially older people living alone who were really suffering from isolation. And I thought that was such a beautiful partnership between the generations. And also in Yemen, we have a lot of young people and they're working on helplines. We have 18 helplines there. And in Sierra Leone, we're supporting a radio program that's reaching in and out of school adolescents with messages and resources. And that airs up to 5 days a week. And that's been very powerful as well. So I'd like to re-echo what everyone else said. There is no health without mental health. It's a human right. It goes to the very core of our inherent worth and dignity. And I'm just so proud to be working with young people, such positive spirits and activists, to ending stigma around mental health and for screaming as loud as we can that the time to act is now. And when we act together, we can achieve so much more. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Anne. And finally, I would like to invite Ruth.
Thank you so much, Ivy. It's such a pleasure to be here and to join the other speakers on this panel on such an important topic for young people. We've seen that the incident of mental health and mental ill health has been rising across the globe for many years now. And while we heard earlier that 90% of young people have reported increased anxiety because of the pandemic, increasing concerns about mental health is not a new thing with the pandemic. And And, I think there has been lots of concerns about young people's mental health for a number of years. So while the pandemic has made us focus, I think, a little more on this really important topic, it was a problem before COVID and something that we need to take really seriously. As people have already said on the panel, mental health is as important as physical health. The two things are interconnected. And I think it's been absolutely incredible to see the change in people's willingness to talk about mental health. Certainly in the UK, where I'm from, I represent the Duke of Edinburgh's Award in the UK. And so we work with nearly 500,000 young people every year who are working towards a Duke of Edinburgh's Award. And it's been incredible to see the change over the last few years in terms of young people's willingness to talk about mental health, to support each other, to want to learn about how best to support peers who are struggling with some really significant issues. And it's clear that we are going to need to put increasing resources and support in place to make sure that young people have the support and services they need to help them manage some, in some cases, very severe and often crisis mental health concerns. And that we need to start thinking about investing in mental health in the same way that we think about investing in people's physical health and keeping people physically well. But I guess it's easy to feel that it's all a bit hopeless and that this is a really difficult situation. So I wanted to focus a little bit on some of the things we know about kind of what works to help prevent mental ill health and what helps to help young people stay mentally healthy. We've talked a lot about this morning already about the importance of prevention. Ideally, we don't want young people to reach crisis. We want young people to have the support and the services and the environment that enables young people to feel confident, to feel successful, to feel that they can manage the situations that life throws at them, particularly while you're a teenager. And I wanted to talk about the role that non-formal education and learning, which all of our organisations are involved with across the globe, and the role that that can play in helping to maintain good mental health. In the UK, we have managed to continue running the Duke of Edinburgh's Award programmes throughout the pandemic. And what we've seen is that the structure, the focus, the sense of purpose, and the social interaction that comes naturally through doing a D.of.E. programme has really helped young people to stay positive, to feel a sense of purpose and that there is a point to life, and to continue to access the sort of social and emotional support that we all need, when actually for a lot of young people, all of those structures and routines were stripped away really quickly when countries had to go into lockdown. So I've been delighted to see young people throughout the last sort of 15 months continuing to volunteer and support other people in their communities, continue to be physically active, to continue to work towards their D.of.E. programmes, and giving themselves a real sense of structure and focus, which has been really helpful when dealing with all of the other issues that we all faced this year. And so I wanted to make a point around that while mental health can feel like a really serious and challenging issue, and it is, there are also lots of quite simple things that we can do to help ourselves stay positive, to help feel that we are being successful and that we are making progress and moving forwards. We've had a couple of, a couple of examples for you. There's a young man called Harry who has autism, and when in the UK the lockdown began, that really created a lot of anxiety for him. His routine was disrupted massively. And through doing his D.of.E., He was supported to grow vegetables on his allotment. And then that gave him a real focus. It gave him a reason to leave the house. It was physical activity that helped to keep him active. And he grew lots of vegetables and then shared them out with his neighbours and his local community, which helped him to create some really strong bonds with people locally. And I give you that example because it's really simple. And a lot of the work that we do through our organisations and supporting young people through non-formal education and learning are contributing in a really simple but powerful way to helping young people maintain good mental health. So I wanted to, I think, to highlight just the fact that while it can feel like a really difficult and challenging and scary topic, there are lots of things that we know how to do and that we can do together to help us all stay mentally healthy.
Thank you so much, Ruth. And thank you to all the panelists for joining us. I appreciate you for the wonderful work you're doing in your different capacities. So we can now delve right into our conversation today. And I will begin by posing a question to Vera and Anne. Both of you highlighted how different the experience of the pandemic has been for young women and girls, especially when it comes to their need for mental health support. You can elaborate for us more on the support that young people can provide to those who are victims of gender-based violence and tell us how they can talk about issues in their communities. Maybe we can have Vera going first.
Yes, Ivy, thank you for the question. It's a really good one. I think that erasing the stigma from discussing mental health and gender-based violence is the first step to overcome the difficulties we have in this area. And first thing I want to point my attention is that despite the fact that we face very common problems, our desire to receive support and our ability to ask for support is very different due to different reasons. For example, gender stereotypes. Women are taught to comfort their friends and families more, while men are struggling with asking for help. And we should keep in mind all these differences if we want to erase the stigma from the topic. I really like the idea from Cynthia about the kindness and from Ruth about that the mental health is very simple and very base values are can help us if we want to change the situation. So I would like to give some of the tips of how we can support people around us. So I think first of all, assuring the physical safety and privacy is very important when we want to support a person. So they can share very openly about the experiences and challenges, and they can feel that they are listened confidentially. Also, I think the holistic approach is very important, and we need to keep in mind the background of the person, their social, economic, and emotional background, so that they can feel that they are respected in their diversity, that their rights are upheld. And I want to say that these tips are a part of YWCA Safe Space guideline that is available, that everyone can apply not only in the advocacy activities, but in everyday life as well.
Thank you for that, Vera. I will request the speakers, because of time, to make their answers a little bit shorter. So we can proceed on to Anne.
Yeah, thank you, Ivy. I would just like to endorse what Vera just said about privacy, confidentiality, respect, all of these principles, kindness. I think love plays a role, actually, love that people have for each other. And that needs to come forth when you're talking about psychosocial support. At UNFPA, we also have safe spaces. These are something that are also very common in humanitarian work, and that's also where we apply these principles. Also in shelters, one-stop centers for gender-based violence, also where we're working with our sexual reproductive health specialists, our midwives, and they're doing clinical management of rape and things like this. And so having psychosocial support training, even just psychological first aid for all of our frontline responders, that's what we're working on, and that is very important. And also we have to think about, you know, I think really in some cases being female is a mental health risk, because even when you look at cases like in Afghanistan, where we see adolescent girls and young women setting themselves on fire, they did a study on this with Afghan psychiatrists and psychologists and others. And the first thing that they found was a risk was being female, violations of human rights and gender inequality. So these are things that have to be taken into account in supporting young people in taking a human rights-based approach, an inclusive approach. I couldn't agree more with Vera. You have to be working with local people, speaking the same language, understand the culture, and a gender-responsive approach. I think that's very important.
Thank you so much for your insights. So moving on, I would like to pose a question to Ruth. Youth organizations and programs have been severely impacted during the pandemic, and these would normally be some of the safe spaces where young people can find help. Could you expand more on how organizations like yours and many others have continued to provide support to young people during the pandemic?
Thanks, Ivy. Yes, I think this has been a very challenging time to try and continue to provide the sorts of youth services and youth support, particularly when with so many restrictions on being able to meet and gather in groups. But what we've seen in the UK, and I think which is mirrored around the world, is youth organisations being incredibly creative about the way that in which they can continue to support and work with young people. At the Duke of Edinburgh's Award, we've come up with lots of flexibilities and variations to the things that young people can do for their programmes. And we've been asking young people to share their ideas and thoughts around different ways that they could continue to work towards their programmes despite not being able to leave the house. And it's been fantastic to see that the range of different creative solutions that people have come up with. For youth organisations, generally, we've also had to embrace digital technology. We've had to move quite a lot of services and activities online. And I've seen some absolutely fantastic creative young people involved in leading and running sessions for guides and scouts and other young people, which have all been delivered virtually, which is incredible. And also we've seen, I think, youth work develop and adapt itself and try, rather than rely on young people having to come to a particular venue or a particular building. We've seen youth work take itself out to young people, meeting young people individually in the community, while in line with safety regulations. So while it's been incredibly challenging, Ivy, it's also, I think, it's unleashed and unlocked a lot of ingenuity and creativity, and young people have been absolutely at the heart of that, and helping us to reimagine the way in which we can deliver support and help young people continue to work to participate in enjoyable, fun and engaging activities all the way through.
Thank you so much, Ruth, for your insights. I would like to bring Cynthia on board. So Cynthia, through your leadership at Born This Way Foundation, you empower young people to keep prioritizing their mental health and foster kinder communities, both online and offline. What have you witnessed in your work about how young people build resilience and share kindness during the pandemic?
Thank you, Ivy. First, I'd like to acknowledge to our young people that this has been a year like no other. I'm sure it's the first for many of you. And I'm also sure that this feels like a permanent situation, but it isn't. You know, the pandemic is temporary, even though temporary right now has been a year, but things will improve. And I want to give you hope. And we've seen a lot of hope in young people. Despite the challenges that we continue to face every day at Born This Way Foundation, we're witnessing a generation that just continues to be aspirational and very hopeful and also engaging in their communities. We're fortunate that a lot of our work is online, so we've been able to continue to remain very engaged with young people. We'll continue to meet them where they are. But this is especially true in low-income countries because we're seeing very much a greater need there as well. I do think the best way to show you what we're witnessing is to tell you about a couple of young people and organizations that are taking action. One is hashtag mental health PH, which is Mental Health Philippines. This is an incredible social media campaign that is run by young people. It's grown in recent years, and they run a series of campaigns, but one in particular that struck my heart is hashtag 40 Seconds of Hope, which is an invitation to really take a break and spread messages of kindness and hope, especially during the pandemic. We know from our research at Born This Way Foundation that young people that report living and being in kind communities are generally mentally healthier. So this whole concept of being kind and engaging in kindness in communities and fostering that, it works. A second is MANI, which is Mental Health Awareness Nigeria. This is a campaign, again, created and designed by and for young people. It's been running for a few years now and is really aimed at helping support young people with their mental health. They're using TikTok as one tool to spread awareness of the symptoms related to mental health conditions. And there's one that's a very, very clever example, several of them online, about the warning signs to look for and things that young people do when they're experiencing mental health. And they also have a newsletter called Ruminations at 5, which is, it's just kind of an uplifting end of your day where young people share their thoughts on mental health and help support messages. Also, WHO provides guidance as well as technical advice to countries that are really setting up and improving on programs and services in the mental health space, and especially using digital technology. So these are just a couple of examples. And lastly, I'd like to leave you with one of our platforms. We've learned the power of storytelling and developed a digital platform called Channel Kindness, where young people share stories of resilience, kindness, bravery, mental health in their communities. It's even become a book of ours called Channel Kindness, and it's stories of kindness and bravery written by and for young people. And one in particular has, noticed that her community was really being impacted by mental health. And this is Natalia Salvatierra. And she founded an organization where she writes encouraging letters to teens who have trouble with their mental health. And it's called Solely Sunshine. And this is one of the many stories that are highlighted on channelkindness.org. So it's very heartwarming. I invite anyone that's listening to read some of these stories on channelkindness.org and also consider sharing what's happening in your community so that we can all learn and be inspired by the resilience of young people during this time and beyond.
Thank you so much for that, Cynthia. So we can move on to Vera. Can you tell us more about the experience of peer support that you have witnessed in the pandemic in your region? What have young people been doing to help each other during this period?
Ivy, thank you for the question. As I mentioned previously, I coordinate young women to be an active agents of change in their communities in different countries. And I want to bring actually some of the examples of the work we did in the region. We have young women leads from Armenia that are organizing trainings for teenagers whose family been displaced due to the war that happened in Armenia. And they provide them with information about SRHR, about health information, and at the same point, they provide a mental health support in the safe space where everyone can openly share their feelings and experiences. I also want to bring an example of Albania. Albania experienced a massive earthquake in 2019. That was the very first in this all events that happened and the COVID pandemic. So leads in Albania, they are actually a professional mental health care specialists. And they develop new strategies to overcome this stress for teenage boys and girls. And they advocate for implementation it in the official educational systems. So they provide lessons in schools. And as I mentioned, I am a part of YWCA Belarus. As Anne said, actually, I'm also a white peer trainer. And I do run online marathons for young women and girls, where they can receive an intensive course of evidence-based information from peer trainers, gynecologists, and mental health practitioners about contraception, hygiene, about what are the myths in SRHR and gender-based violence. So these are very diverse activities that YWCA run in different settings in the intersectional approach. And they really apply to the different situations of countries we work with.
Amazing. Thank you so much for that. So maybe I can briefly also share what we do at Scout Healing Invisible Wounds. We mostly engage, we use the social media platforms to just post on different mental health topics. And from these discussions, we're able to get so many people that come out and tell us, you know what, I'm going through 1, 2, 3 things, and we are able to do a referral for them. Besides that, we also engage in quite a number of campaigns. Like now we are doing something called the Denim Challenge, which is a call for people to stand up for victims of sexual assault and so many other challenges. So being young people, despite the COVID-19 pandemic, we still find flexible ways of being able to push our agenda as far as mental health is concerned. So moving on, I would like to bring on Anne. For all our gender equality activists in the audience, what can they do to build on mental health support for gender-based violence victims in their broader advocacy work?
For all of the gender equality activists, we need to keep fighting for gender equality. We need to keep fighting for the rights of women and girls. And we need to say that sexual and reproductive health and rights include the right to mental health. Mental health is critical to all health, and we have to link all of these together because people have many needs and many dimensions, and we can't just focus on one at a time. So I think it's very important also to engage in social media. I see young people are super active at that, know exactly what to do, know many more things in many cases than the older generation on how to navigate all that. So tweet to national decision makers for gender equality, start a petition, write a digital letter, get involved with the local government, with your communities, and get involved with gender equal practices, rights for LGBTQI communities, human rights for all, a right to mental health for all, I think is a key message. And I think it's also important to be very free in talking about mental health. And I really have a lot of respect for young people because of the ability that I see that is becoming more and more common, this ability to speak out without fear, without stigma about mental health. And I applaud that and encourage you to keep that up because that is life-changing and it can be life-saving. And I know that young people are playing a very active role in this. And I commend you for all of your efforts in sharing information and in being strong advocates. And I want to make an important announcement, and that is that we'll be doing a campaign this summer, Time to Heal, because for everyone comes a time to heal. And for many girls and women and young people, the time is now. So I think we just need to keep saying that the time to act is now, and that working together, there's much healing that we can do together, and to address mental health in a very comprehensive way where we're combining it with other services for gender-based violence in particular. It's very important there. We're hearing many needs, people demanding it from Tigray to the other conflict zones, Yemen, Syria, everywhere where there's refugees and displaced persons. We know that the risks of GBV increase, and along that comes the rising needs for mental health and psychosocial support.
Thank you so much, Anne. So we can move on to Ruth. Ruth, how can we ensure that youth organizations continue to provide invaluable services for young people in the new reality of the COVID-19 pandemic?
Well, Ivy, I think obviously every country is facing its own challenges in terms of the speed with which it can come out of restrictions and lockdowns. And we are seeing, some countries sadly experiencing a rise again in COVID. So I think, we are not out of the pandemic yet. And therefore, I think we are going to continue to need to be creative and agile and make sure that while we can't perhaps get back to normal as quickly as we would hope, there are some signs of normal life resuming, and I know that youth organisations, certainly in the UK, are sort of ready to get back out there and re-engage with the young people, particularly in person, that we haven't been able to very recently. I think the other important thing to say is that I think the kinds of support and services and activities that youth organisations, like all of those represented here today that have organised this incredible summit, are going to be absolutely crucial to the recovery and helping young people to rebuild after this incredibly disruptive and traumatic experience. And so I was concerned to read that in the UK, 71% of young people are already reporting that they're doing fewer out-of-school extracurricular activities because they're worried about catching up academically. And I think if we end up with a balance where we're too focused on academic catch-up and we're not thinking about young people in the round as whole people who are going to need support to readjust to a world outside lockdown, are going to have to re-establish their social relationships and friendships, that we could end up actually making what's already a very challenging situation worse. So I would say that from the perspective of youth organisations, it's really important to make the case for how powerful the kinds of support and change that the sorts of programmes that the Duke of Edinburgh's Award and other organisations run can have for young people. And we need to fight to make sure that those are available just as much as extra sort of academic catch-up. They are they're sort of the glue that holds everything together. We've heard about the fantastic examples of young people volunteering, showing acts of kindness to their community. Those are the things that we need to see more of in order to help young people, I think, make the transition back to hopefully some semblance of normal life over the next few months. But I think agility, creativity, but also we need to make the case for the things that we do and the things that young people need to be able to recover and rebuild, and make sure that we're thinking about young people as whole people, and mental health is just as important as physical health and academic achievement if we're going to be successful.
Thank you so much. So Vera, what messages do you have for young people who are currently struggling with mental health issues and feel that they have nobody in their surroundings to turn to discuss the issues and seek support?
Thank you, Ivy. So I think in such situation, young people who feel this way can start from developing a system of self-support that they can rely in such situation of crisis. These can be habits or routines We also can practice healthy boundaries with people around us and try to vocalize our emotions, our feelings first. And if there is a proper internet connection, it is very beneficial for our mental health. Would be to try to find digital safe spaces if there is such an opportunity, and of course also if there is an opportunity to seek help for professional advice if this available.
Thank you. So finally, Cynthia, how can we practice more kindness in our everyday life and be more observant of mental health issues in ourselves, our peers, and family members? Shortly.
Thank you, Ivy. I really appreciate that question because every day at Born This Way Foundation, we aim to provide as many resources as possible to young people. You can find many of them at bornthisway.foundation. To your question directly, I'd like to give our young people and everybody watching 2 resources to help them. In terms of how we can practice more kindness in our everyday life. So the first resource is to model kind behavior in your own life. And think of kindness as a muscle. It's something that you can strengthen. You can practice it every day, and we believe in that. And it helps cultivate kindness in your communities. We have a campaign called #BeKind21, and it challenges everyone to perform acts of kindness for 21 days, kind of looking at the science. If you do something for 21 days, it becomes a habit. I like to say it more becomes that you just integrate kindness into your everyday life. And we have seen extraordinary acts of kindness through this in so many different ways, kindness in communities, but also we had one young woman who chose for 21 days not to self-harm herself. So it's been a very, very powerful tool. And secondly, in terms of the other part of your question, which was how can we be more observant of mental health in our lives and others? The second is to learn more about how to have healthy conversations about mental health and what to look for. And this is all about education. We have a tool called BeThere.org. It's with our partners called jack.org. And it's a tool that helps you learn how to have healthy conversations. There's kind of 5 steps about learning how to listen, what are the right questions to ask, how can you get somebody connected to somebody that can support them. And it's a very, very powerful tool that helps you kind of touch base every day with yourself and others in your everyday life. So these are just 2 very important resources. One is modeling kind behavior in your own life. And second is learning how to have healthy conversations around mental health. So I want to thank everybody listening. I want to thank Global Youth Mobilization for their great work, and to my colleagues, Ruth, Vera, and Anne. Thank you for your great work, and let's keep collaborating so that we can help young people with their mental health.
Thank you so much for that. So I think I collect that the clarion call from our speakers today is that we need to be more kind to ourselves and to those around us. Make use of the available opportunities to keep spreading messages and having conversations of mental health, whether online or physically, and also get to learn how to take care of yourself and those around you. I would like to say a big thank you to all our speakers for your time and your amazing insights. This has been really fun and insightful. I invite all the participants to keep checking out the Global Youth website to be able to get more information. And as I conclude, I would like to stress that mental health is one of the key focuses of the Global Youth Mobilization, and that its work in advocacy will focus heavily on this area. So let me say a big thank you to our participants for joining us and our speakers for the day. Remember to take care of your mental health, stay safe, be kind, and remember there's no health without mental health. Goodbye.
Thank you so much, Ivy. And oh my God, the speakers have given us so much more to learn. And yes, there was some content which might have been a little too sensitive. So for that, I would like to tell all my youngsters, my audiences, that we understand that we have issues of mental health. All of us can go through some sort of mental issues at some point in time, and that is completely all right. It is okay to be sensitive. It is okay to say that I need help. So please, if you need somebody, keep communication open, keep that network and bonding strong with your loved ones. Try to build resilience with that network, and if you need help, ask for it. Our speakers have given so many alternatives, so many paths, and I am very, very obliged to all the speakers and our moderator for such a wonderful session. Thank you so much. Yes, from the bottom of my heart. And I think with such a wonderful session, it's time to take a short break. But before we go to the short break, I have a message of support. We've been working hard to get commitments and pledges of support for the global youth mobilization. We are so pleased to say that we've received messages of support from lots of governments, including government of Singapore, Malaysia, Maldives, the Netherlands, and Bangladesh. We'll be sharing more details of other pledges later on, but before the break, here's a special message from Mr. Joseph Muchero, the Cabinet Secretary at the Ministry of ICT, Innovation and Youth Affairs from Government of Kenya.
Hello everybody, my name is Joe Mucheru. I'm the Cabinet Secretary responsible for ICT, Innovation and Youth Affairs in Kenya, and I'm glad to be addressing you today. The youth agenda is a big agenda for us. As you know, all of us at one point were youth. And for me, during my youthful time, ensuring that hard work, just following what our leaders said, fearing God were very key drivers to taking me to where I am today. From very humble beginnings in Kamandura, in Kameredo, in Limuru, to now where I am here in government. As government, we are cognizant that over 75% of our population is youth. And these young men and women are the future of this country, but that future is even now. They're the ones that we must work with now. And we are very happy as a government to be part of the global mobilization for the young people. And many actions that we're taking in the country are to ensure that we have a great future for our young people. We're equipping our young people, we are empowering them, we're involving them, we're protecting them. This is all to make sure that they are stronger and that in them being strong, the country will even be stronger. We're empowering them with the National Youth Council. We want to make sure that they are able to be part of the leadership of this country, that they can control and lead their own destinies, that they can participate in all the activities that we have. The President appointed many of these young people into the government. So our cabinet secretaries have assistants now from the youth that are able to also be involved in policy decisions and being able to work together within government. So with all this, we have great partners that we've been working with. We have programs such as Kenya ni Mimi, ensuring that our young people feel that they own Kenya, that they are part of Kenya. They're not just being directed, but they are involved in the running of the country. So we are happy, and we pledge and promise, and this is through our president, that we will continue to support the global youth mobilization. Thank you very much.
Hello and welcome back. I don't know about you, but I love the sound of this bumper. Always begin before we appear here. It's like a drum. I love. And I have another important part of our shows. And if you watched yesterday, the first and the second day, you already know what I'm talking about is the Energizer. And now, yeah, it's amazing. The first day we have like a dance, yeah. In the second day,
We
a
had
drum player.
drums.
Yeah, it's amazing. And today, the Energizer, it's perfect to you if you have your screen a kind of dirty, if you are a little bit upset too, and if you like to dance. So it's better if you put your phones, put this video now on full screen. Please do that. Put on full screen and use earphones. Let's go to our Energizer in 3, 2, 1. Let's go.
Oh my God, that was so satisfying.
Amazing. I make feel like I have to clean up all my things here, all my screen. Oh, now it's set.
Actually, cleaning reminds me that this video was perfectly in line with the situation that we all are in. So don't forget to clean your screens, your tables, your platforms, wherever you are, touching anywhere. Also, don't forget to sanitize your hands because we are still in the middle of the pandemic, and just keep yourself safe wherever you are. And with that, let's move to the next section, which is the pledging section. The GYM and the Big Six partners have been working hard behind the scenes to advocate and champion for young people to be prioritized in policies as part of the COVID-19 pandemic recovery in the countries across the world. From making up lost time in disrupted education, investing in training and skills for the job markets, through to supporting young people to deal with increased anxiety and stress caused by lockdowns, we are calling on governments and policymakers to put young people first, to invest in their futures, their ideas, their creativity, and their talents. I am therefore really excited to announce that we have received support from following governments and UN aid agencies for the global youth mobilization, and will be working with them and many more to advocate for the rights and need of young people all across the world.
Yeah, perfect. Thanks for these words, Namarata. And now it's my real pleasure to introduce Oliver Dowden, MP, the United Kingdom's Secretary of State for Culture, Media and Support, with his message of support for the global youth mobilization.
Thank you everyone for inviting me to share a video at this fantastic event. As the UK Cabinet Minister responsible for youth policy and volunteering, I know the huge contribution young people make to their communities. The pandemic has sent shockwaves across the world, and young people have been right there at the front line of our response. They've helped in whatever way they can, whether it's offering someone a friendly ear to someone who's forced to self-isolate, or delivering food shopping to the vulnerable. And when the UK government pivoted its National Citizen Service programme last summer to support communities in need, over 22,000 young people volunteered almost 400,000 hours of their time doing this country proud. They've also helped shape the government's wider response to the pandemic through things like our Youth Steering Group, and they've done all this when their own lives have been put on hold. Young people have sacrificed an incredible amount during this pandemic, having to separate from their schools and their friends to help save lives. Those sacrifices have had an impact on their education, on their mental health and on their employment, and we have to make sure we put young people front and centre of our recovery. But I also know the people at this summit will rise to those challenges, just as you all rose to the challenge of the global pandemic. I have no doubt you will bring your characteristic energy, ideas and desire to support the recovery of your own communities, and this government will be backing you all the way.
Thanks for this message. Up next, we have Jutta Urplipen, European Commissioner for International Partnership, with an amazing opportunity for young activism to apply to be part of a very special partnership.
Hello, everybody. I am so happy to be able to address all of you from all corners of the world and from different walks of life. You may not realize it, but we all have something in common. I, too, was a youth activist. That's how I found my way into politics. So I think I understand how you feel, especially right now. You care about the future, about your future. You care about what the post-pandemic world will look like. You care about bettering yourselves and about getting a good education. And in my job as European Commissioner, I care about making sure your voices are heard, loud and clear. We need you to participate in today's decisions. You are the ones who will live with them tomorrow. And this is why I am launching a youth sounding board. This sounding board will be a space for 25 motivated young people from all over the world to be involved in shaping and implementing EU external action. This is your chance to influence international partnerships. Your chance to have a say on decisions affecting people and planet. Applications are still open until Monday, 26th April, so take a look if you haven't already. I know you have high hopes and ambitions for the future, so let's make them a reality together.
Thanks again for these words. And finally, I'm super glad to introduce His Excellence, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, the Vice President of Nigeria, to share an important message of hope from the government of Nigeria.
Good day, everyone. It's my very special pleasure to join you at this Global Youth Summit. In March 2020, when the World Health Organization declared COVID-19 a pandemic, I doubt whether anyone knew how fundamentally all aspects of our lives would be affected, or for that matter, how we would adapt to the disruption to our daily lives. But today, virtual conferences and video messaging, such as the one I'm sending across today, have become the new normal. The mandatory use of digital technology across all facets of life has been embraced by the public and private sectors. The world has shown resilience and innovation through it all, especially in such sectors as health, logistics, emergency response, and social services. I'm delighted to note in particular that many of these responses have been led by young people. And this is especially so in our country, Nigeria, where young people have been significantly involved in our COVID-19 response, especially through several technology-enabled interventions. A young lady, Dr. Ola Brown, and her company, Flying Doctors, worked with government to build 2 testing centers and 3 laboratories in Lagos. Her team also invented a testing booth and a mobile test vehicle to make testing cheaper and keep healthcare workers safe. Temi Giwa, the founder of LifeBank, worked with government to launch mobile drive-through and walk-in testing centers in Lagos and Oyo states. Through their efforts, they increased the country's testing capacity. The LifeBank team also launched QUIP, a national asset register that makes critical equipment such as respirators, ventilators, and ICU beds for treatment and management of COVID-19 available to hospitals. The team reached 2,000 hospitals and found over 800 pieces of essential equipment in Nigeria. They also expanded their air bank services to 10 isolation centers across 6 cities in the country, delivering free oxygen to patients with COVID-19. Noura Jubrin and Willem Giang repurposed abandoned equipment at the Jos University Teaching Hospital in Plateau State of Nigeria into ventilators to use for critically ill patients during the pandemic. And Chukwuma Nwachukwu won a UNICEF-sponsored competition to support innovation in the fight against the virus. His solution focused on the use of solar panels to create a sustainable water supply system to combat the virus. All these activities are envisioned and driven by young Nigerians leveraging innovation and technology in practical and useful ways to meet the peculiar challenges of healthcare delivery and other social services, especially in far-flung and often poor communities. So for us, the Global Youth Initiative is not just an important and relevant response to the COVID-19 pandemic. We believe that the effective mobilization of young people could be a game changer for the delivery of social goods in Nigeria. So on behalf of the government of Nigeria, we welcome and endorse the Global Youth Mobilization for Generation Disrupted. Thank you very much.
Wow, these messages were so inspiring. So many solutions, so many opportunities, and all by young people. We will have a look at a few more pledging videos. But before that, I would like to call upon the platform a very familiar face, Michelle, who is our GYM board member. And she will be interacting with a few of our participants who have willingly and kindly come ahead to share their experiences of all 3 days. So welcome to the platform, Michelle, once again.
Hi everyone,
it's Michelle here again, and right now I'm joined by 4 participants of the Global Youth Summit who have actively engaged in our sessions throughout the past 3 days. So without further ado, let's hear from them on their experiences during the summit. But before that, let's do a quick round of introductions, right? So tell us briefly about yourself, where you're from, and like what organization you're part of. We'll start with you, friends.
Hi, Michelle, and everyone who's watching. My name is Franz Maluleke. I'm from South Africa, and I'm representing the Duke of Edinburgh International Award.
Thanks, friends. It's really great to have you here with us. Moving on, we have Boubacar.
Hi, everyone. This is Boubacar Singate. I work with the Gambia Red Cross Society based in the Gambia. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Boubacar. Great to meet another Red Cross Red Crescent member here. I'm also very happy to be with another Michelle here today. So the floor is yours, Michelle.
Hello, everyone. Hello, Michelle. I'm Michelle Vasquez. I'm 27 years old. I'm from Ecuador. Currently, I serve as international director in the Scouts Association of my country. And in a South that just completed 101 years of institutional life, part of the World Organization of the Scouts movement, known as WOSM.
Go, Michelle. Michelle's are amazing. But yeah, we also have Emily on the call with us.
Hi, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. My name is Emily Williams, and I'm calling in today from Halifax, Canada, and I'm representing YWCA Canada and World YWCA.
Love that. Great thing, Emily. So what will happen now is I'll ask all of you a quick round of questions and just tell us about your experience throughout the past 3 days, right? We'll start with you again, friends. So what actually motivated you to attend the Global Youth Summit in the first place? Why spend your weekend with us?
Wow, Michelle, thank you so much for the question. Really, I think the idea that young people can come together, to engage in youth-led and youth-mandated discussions and solutions really motivated me to want to be part of this summit. I must say, as a generation disrupted, hearing that a group of global change makers are coming together really gave me goosebumps, and an itch to be part of this movement. And really the reasons are really simple. I really wanted to get a global perspective on young people and the different, worldwide COVID response initiatives that they are part of and involved in. I also wanted to use this opportunity to learn more about the tools that I can use, in my own part of the world to continue to be an activist and seek for change. I think most importantly, to learn more on how I can contribute towards the global change and global movements. So really, it's been quite amazing, and what a movement. Amazing. Thank you.
Really, thanks for joining us, friends. The summit, without your participation and your active engagement over the weekend, we wouldn't have such amazing conversations with young people like you. And moving on, I'd like to pose this question to Boubacar. So what was your highlight of the last 3 days during the summit? Which session or maybe which speaker left the biggest impression on you?
Absolutely, Michelle. I'm happy to say that I am definitely honored to be part of this initiative. And then, looking at the impression that I have from this summit is that, so many young people from around the world have participated in this summit with the sole intention to learn, to network, and as well to inspire positive change within their communities and around the world. So this is one of the impressions that I have as an individual, and I'm so happy that I have participated in this Global Youth Summit. So aside from that as well, the summit in general, I would say, has been very successful, because looking at the number of sessions and the session outline, like the session flow, almost I would say every other person around the world, every other participant of the session around the world have had the chance to actually participate in 1 or 2 sessions, like 20 hours of interactive sessions. So this is really amazing. I would definitely want to congratulate the session organizers on this, to say a very big round of applause to them from the Gambia, all right? So moving from that as well, looking at the reflection, general reflection as well, a lot of interesting topics have been discussed over the course of these past 3 days. And then I really believe that it has been amazing. For me, it has been a learning point, although I've shared my experience, but also it has also been a learning point for me, together with other young people who have participated in this, because this is what we want as young people. We want to be part of the process. We want to be heard. We want to make a decision on our own lives, issues that, are so dear to us, issues that matters to us. So I think we had this opportunity to participate in the global summit. So I'll really, again, say congratulations to the organizers for ensuring that the space, was actually youth-friendly. It was a safe space for us to actually participate and discuss more meaningfully, to ensure that the needs and the priorities of young people are actually captured. So moving further on the other aspects of my reflection is the session that actually inspired me the most were I have 2 sessions. One was the session in which I participated in, looking at, because migration is so dear to my heart, and then so many young people from my country have, ventured into the journey of migration. And then this has affected a lot of families, including my family, because I actually, up till date, we couldn't hear from one of our cousins who has gone through, the journey. And then, he's missing, and then we've not known where his whereabouts up till now. And this has really, impacted the family. So because I also work in the field of migration, it has really inspired me a lot to, share the experience from the Gambia with other young people, to be able to learn and as well take forward some of these key issues. In fact, one of the key questions that emerged from our session was, how can young people be engaged in terms of, addressing challenges of, in terms of engaging in issues that are, affecting young people. Let's say in terms of migration, what are some of the challenges that young people can participate to address some of those issues that are affecting them? So, it shows that the session was really interactive. And then, most importantly as well, looking at the, session around education. Education for us, for the Red Crescent movement, it forms an integral part of our framework. And then, the IFRC, through its national societies, have been trying a lot, to ensure that young people participate, in issues around education. And this, looking at it from the context of the current COVID pandemic, you realize that so many young people were out of access to education. But with support, some young people were able to, use their mobile phones. But what remains a challenge was the issue of access to data was the biggest challenge during this period. So I think these are some of the things that we need to share, and then so that we are all aware of it. Of course, I know we are all aware of it, but it's important to also emphasize that, organizations are, here to work like the IFRC to ensure that education becomes inclusive of young people. And then, not only becoming inclusive of young people, but also to ensure that other organizations are, actually working together with IFRC to ensure that, they bring access to education for all young people. So, Michelle, thank you very much.
Thanks, Boubacar, and I'm so glad that you've enjoyed the summit and really got some good experiences, got some good perspectives out of it. So moving quickly on to the next person, Michelle. So because Michelle's are amazing, I would like to ask you, what will you do differently now that you have attended the summit?
Thanks for the question, and this is interesting. Now I could realize how many organizations work together for the benefit of our children and youth, which allows structures like the Scout movement in all levels to identify and establish alliance with other similar partners. And this is very powerful. This is strong because we can make a change together. I think this event has put the society in perspective of the existence of several organizations and international level that are made up of young people like us and working for the general public with similar objectives, working and taking steps together to moving forward to the next level of a society. and began to obtain a strategic alliance that are translated into joint actions, adding all the individual efforts that we make of each one of us as a larger group. I'm assured that that will be a result in a positive change for all our well-being as people and also with the environment, because this is so important. I think that the most incredible is that exists another kind of people that have the same perspectives that I am, as also as the Scouts movement has, that taking care of the environment. So for getting results, we have to take actions as youth during this pandemic to overcome with a significant change, full of the joy that characterizes us as youth. So show more of ourselves. That's where we be different. Showing more what we do, what we has make a positive change, that the good actions. So also, finally, I have the challenge of replicating and sharing everything that I have learned with the staff of my NSO, also with WOSM, and with my community in general, and inspire more people every day to build a better world. That's what we would do.
Thanks, Michelle. Yes, I'm so excited for what you and other young people will start doing and what actions you'll start taking locally to empower your communities and to benefit your communities after the summit, right? My last question for today is posed towards Emily. So if you could ask your government to prioritize one thing to support young people in building back better from COVID-19, what would it be?
Thank you for your question, Michelle. For me, if I were to ask my government one thing to build back better, it would be to prioritize financial support for students through providing non-repayable financial aid, such as through the form of grants, but also through providing paid work and experiential learning opportunities. This will be particularly helpful for individuals who come from communities who traditionally face barriers to labor market, which have been exacerbated during the COVID-19 pandemic. For example, we see that women and girls suffer disproportionately from job losses due to the pandemic, in addition to simultaneously facing an increase in unpaid care work at home. Therefore, financial support in these forms will help provide individuals and offset the negative financial consequences of the pandemic. Providing paid work experiences will allow individuals to gain valuable work experiences, build employable skills, while also having the opportunity to give back to the community. Thank you.
Thanks, Emily. I hear you loud and clear, and I hope that governments and senior leaders hear you loud and clear as well. So it's been an amazing experience with everyone this weekend, and so wonderful to hear all of your reflections from the Global Youth Summit. To all of those that are watching us on our live stream, feel free to also put in the comments on your highlight from the past 3 days. We'll definitely love to hear from you. And yep, with that, I'm passing it back to Namrata and Philippi.
Oh, thanks, Michelle. Thanks, everyone, to share this experience with us. And as Michelle said at the end, it's super important to you guys at your homes, share this experience with us, because you is part of this event with us, okay? And up next, we have a special message from Frank Bainimarama, the Prime Minister of Fiji.
Ladies and gentlemen, Bulavinaka from Fiji. Separated by the harsh realities of the coronavirus, I know the distance between our countries can feel greater than ever. We may be apart, but none of us are alone in our commitment to a better future, the future that belongs to you, the young people of the world. All of you are living through a period of unprecedented challenge. None of you will ever forget it. But as global citizens, connected across oceans and generations, it is our duty to make sure you do not live with its consequences forever. In saying this, I acknowledge the collaboration between the World Health Organization and the Big Six youth organizations for initiating the Global Youth Mobilization to address the needs of young people at this critical time. This is a reflection of our collective commitment to recover sustainably from the pandemic leaving no one behind. The Global Youth Mobilization for Generation Disrupted aims to reclaim what this pandemic has stolen so that we can emerge stronger and more capable of leading collective solutions to global challenges. COVID is not the first crisis to reach beyond national borders. It won't be the last. Some, like the climate emergency, carry far more devastating potential. The bridges of solidarity we build today can carry resources, solutions, and innovation that can support our response to the challenges tomorrow most certainly will bring. In Fiji, we share a tradition of dialogue called Talanoa. The Talanoa spirit is about creating an environment, not of blame, but of respect, empathy, and understanding. In Fiji, we hold Talanoa sessions with young people to bring their ideas and aspirations to bear in our national development. Age is no barrier to passion or creativity. In fact, young leaders like yourselves can often be the most genuine because you stand to gain the most from a healthier, greener, and more sustainable future. At this summit, let's harness the Talanoa spirit of empathy, respect, and understanding to unleash your potential in driving solutions from the grassroots to the highest levels of global decision-making. You are not bystanders. You are not helpless onlookers. You are champions for change. And I pledge Fiji's full support towards this summit and towards the brighter future you, the young people of the world, can forge for yourselves. Thank you.
Thanks for your words. And now, the Global Youth Mobilization and Big Six youth organizations are really honored to be collaborating with UNICEF as a number of areas, and I am therefore really pleased to introduce you to Henrietta Ford, the Executive Director for UNICEF, with a special message for us.
Young people are bearing the brunt of the COVID-19 pandemic. Closed schools, stretched health services, interrupted counseling and mental health support, isolation, and being cut off from friends. This situation is particularly dire for young people who are on the move or in conflicts. But amidst the darkness, we are also seeing inspiring signs of hope. We're seeing young people standing up for their friends, families, and communities, and reaching out in new and innovative ways. And we've seen a global recognition that we need to support children and young people through and beyond this challenging time. For example, at UNICEF, we've launched the Reimagine Education Initiative to end the learning crisis and eradicate the digital divide. We want every child and young person, 3.5 billion by 2030, to be able to access world-class digital learning and training to prepare them for the future. This includes connecting every school and every young person in every community to the internet. And it includes working side by side with young people themselves to produce the content that is relevant to them. We are also part of Generation Unlimited partnership, working with public and private partners and with young people to identify and scale up solutions to help them gain the skills they need for the world of work. Because a post-COVID world needs to be a better world for young people, a world in which we all focus on supporting them as they build a better future for themselves and for all of us. To make this happen, we need to work with youth networks and organizations like Big Six to co-create local and global solutions. We need to work with the public and private sectors to provide more opportunities for young people to build their skills for the future. And we need to pay special attention to the needs of the most vulnerable young people, including girls and refugees, migrants, and young people with disabilities. You can count on UNICEF's support for the global youth mobilization. Let's reimagine a better future for young people everywhere.
Thanks for this message of
That was
hope.
brilliant.
we really need this. It was amazing. And finally, we are happy to say we have an inspiring message of support for all of you from Alexandre De Croo, the Prime Minister of Belgium.
Hello, everyone. These are challenging times, especially for young people. You're ready to start your lives while COVID prevents you from doing so. But know that things will get better. Vaccination campaigns are gaining traction worldwide. And once we have COVID under control, we need your youthful energy, your new ideas to make our societies better and stronger. So my message to you today is, don't let COVID hold you back or wear you down. Let's use this pandemic to set our priorities straight again. Let's fight together for education as a basic human right, so everyone has the opportunity to learn and grow as a person. Let's fight for a more inclusive society, an economy where everyone gets her fair share and can profit from economic growth. And let's build a more sustainable economy that will stop and reverse climate change. The fight for this inclusive and sustainable society can be summed up in one word: innovation. We can create this fairer and stronger world by doing this differently, with new policies and new technologies. That is why the commitment for your generation is so crucial, because young people have new ideas and the drive to put them into practice. So do not hesitate to come forward with your plans. Enter into discussions with your peers, exchange ideas and make them better. Engage with your local community and reach out to the people who need your help. And always remember, the best is yet to come. I hope to see you all soon in real life, so we can discuss your ideas and plans for a better world in person. In the meanwhile, I wish you all the strength you need and loads of good luck.
What an amazing video, what an amazing message from all of these videos. For me, it's a pleasure to be part of this and what these changes become to happen in the whole world. See the big six working together, all these nations together, all these organizations working together. We always say to leave a better world for the future. And what I think these organizations are doing, it's more than that. It's leaving a better future generation for the future planet. And I think that's the way, and that's how we have to do, and what we are doing step by step. And now, at least, finally, but not least, we have our last message from Daisy and Helga. So let's introduce Daisy and Helga. The floor is yours.
Hello, everyone. I'm Helga Mutasingwa, and I'm a medical doctor currently working in HIV/AIDS prevention program here in Tanzania. I'm a proud Girl Guide and member of World Association of Girl Guides and Girl Scouts. So in December last year, I got the amazing opportunity to become a member of the Global Youth Mobilization Board, and now I'm honored to be leading such an inspiring movement for change.
Hello, everyone. I'm Daisy Moran, proud to be with the YMCA in Illinois, USA, and proud to be one of the 6 youth board representatives of the Global Youth Mobilization. Wow, what a few amazing days. I've been blown away by the energy, creativity, and ideas of all the incredible sessions, speakers, and most importantly, my fellow delegates. You are all simply extraordinary. Helga, what did you make of it?
Oh, it was extraordinary. So throughout the summit, I've been inspired by the young people's bravery and perseverance in helping our communities, despite all odds, through their different leadership positions. I had very fun in engaging with the participants during the networking session, where participants shared with me how they are planning to use the knowledge received from the summit.
We've had a truly international experience. An amazing 152 countries have been represented at the summit. From my home country of the USA to Chile, to Togo, Iraq, the Congo, Spain, Mexico, Malaysia, and Syria, to name just a few. More than 1,000 young people have been connected on the platform with over 300 inspiring speakers, facilitators, and support staff and 50 partners. Thousands of people have joined our live broadcast, and we know tens, if not hundreds of thousands of young people and communities will benefit from the amazing content of our website in the months to come.
What a packed program. So in more than 7 hours of content, we have covered so many different challenges facing young people today as a consequence of the COVID-19 pandemic. So from education disruption, employment, vaccine equity, financial literacy, gender equality, and the rise in domestic violence, human trafficking, the SDGs, digital citizenship, climate change, and much, much more. We have covered it all.
And we learned an incredibly important lesson from each other, which I will take with me from the summit. It's okay not to be okay. It's all right to feel and acknowledge your emotions. It's all right to cry because we know that tomorrow will be better, because we are all working to make it better.
We will be using the outcomes and the recommendations from all the different sessions to inform the global youth mobilization advocacy efforts in the months to come. So with your support and the backing of the Big Six youth organizations, we'll be calling on leaders, governments, policymakers, businesses, and communities to tackle the big issues we have identified and include young people in COVID-19 recovery plans. So we have heard loud and clear how important it is to prioritize mental health support in COVID-19 recovery plans. There is an urgent need to support young people to manage the impact of lockdowns on their mental health. We shouldn't underestimate the disruption caused by lockdowns, the isolation, the loneliness, the barrier to those all important years of friendship making. This is why it is crucial that governments and policymakers around the world ensure that there is sufficient support for young people in this area and increase awareness of the issue and risks. The impact of the pandemic has also delayed the march for gender equality. It has exposed and exacerbated existing disparities in all our societies, including but not all limited to all forms of violence experienced by the marginalized genders, the lack of basic reproductive and sexual rights, and policies around safety and digital use. We are more inspired and aware to push these agendas now.
Second, we know how powerful digital activism can be in advocating for change and bringing communities closer together. The pandemic has inspired us to innovate and become creative about the ways we support each other and the communities around us, in person and online. It has helped us appreciate the value of communities, shown us the value of things we don't have, and taught us an important lesson about being interested in others. We need to enable more young people to engage more profoundly in decision-making in our communities, address the digital divide, and ensure all communities are connected regardless of where you are in the world.
So this summit has shown us that the future has never been more uncertain for young people, especially when it comes to education and employment, and particularly for the most marginalized and at a risk in our societies. Young people have adapted to the new normal, and education systems need to adapt quickly and work to address inequalities that are widening because of the pandemic. We need to be ready for a new and ever-changing job market. So we therefore need our governments and employers to invest in the education and skills that will prepare us for the challenges of tomorrow.
We are resolved to ensure we build back better from COVID-19 on our terms equally and fairly. We must ensure vaccine equity for all. No one is safe until everyone is safe from the virus. In many areas of the world, the pandemic is worsening. People are still dying, hospitals are full, and lockdowns are still here. And young people continue to be forgotten. This needs to change. And this is just where we start. We'll be developing a comprehensive summary of all key outcomes and sharing them in the coming weeks. However, before we finish, we'd like to ask you to take the 3 steps after the summit to ensure that we deliver on these asks.
Oh, yes, indeed. And although these sound like big institutional challenges we outlined, we need to remember that the solutions all start with a single step. A small action can make a big difference. And that's why we have simple 3 steps that we're inviting all of you to follow.
Yes, step 1, think of an issue in your local community that you would like to solve and apply to a local solution grant. No matter how big or how small, we encourage you to have the confidence to apply for funding. You can apply for funding from $500 to $5,000 from the Global Youth Mobilization. All you need to do is complete a short application form setting out your idea, what you want to achieve with the funding, and upload a short video explaining why you should be awarded the funding.
So step 2, join our advocacy efforts. Help support communities with accurate information about the pandemic and call for change in your local communities and country. We'll be sharing ideas and toolkits in the weeks after summit, and you'll be able to identify the issues that are most important to your community and join the efforts. Step 3, make the most of all the amazing content from the last 3 days. Share with your networks, friends, and consider hosting a local or national youth summit with a partner of the Big 6. All the content from the summit will be available online at globalyouthmobilization.org, including supporting resources and guidance from the nearly 50 partners who delivered the amazing content at this summit.
And finally, thank you. Thank you to the amazing summit partners who provided such incredible content. We really couldn't have put it on without your expertise and creativity. To the more than 200 speakers and facilitators that inspired us and motivated us to make change happen, your leadership is remarkable. And to our fantastic production company, MCI, who have extraordinary patience, and the platform provider, Juno, thank you.
And to the hardworking volunteers from the Big 6 youth organizations who helped moderate the sessions, kept them running smoothly, and supported tirelessly in the background. Thank you so much. And finally, and most importantly, you. All you incredible young leaders and change makers, you made this summit. This is your time. This is our time. So let's mobilize for change for a better world.
We are truly unstoppable
together.
Oh my God, what a wonderful thank you message. I'm feeling a little sad that we are thanking everyone now and it's time to leave. But before we go, can I just say that, first of all, thank you to everyone, like Helga and Daisy have like completely summarized everything that we wanted to say. But from our side as well as the MCs, we would like to be we are very, very grateful, and we have a lot of gratitude in our hearts for all of you who have been here, contributed. And please remember, if you are applying for grants, if you are making an initiative, if you are doing something good, don't forget to tag us on our social media platforms, Instagram, Twitter, because we would love to see what changes you are bringing to the world. The efforts that you have made to be here, if you fill up a grant, if you get the grant, if you are doing a project, if you are successful in that project, you know, if you are getting people together, we would love to know everything. And another thing I would like to say is that thank you so much, everyone. This was a wonderful experience for me and Felipe together. I would also like to thank my partner who is right next to me, my MC. He has been very, very supportive throughout the program. And the biggest thank you to the team who is sitting behind the screen. We always see people who are in front of the screen and we are the ones who present everything, but there is a huge, trust me, there's a huge team behind the screen. And we all are very, very thankful for all your support.
For sure. For sure. Namrata, you are amazing. The team are amazing. You guys in your homes, everybody that participate on this event, on the talk sessions, the outbreak sessions. And now it's hard to finish a so big event like that. It's hard. Of course, it's hard to us. But as the girl said before we get here, you have to use everything you learn in these 3 days and get this to outside from the global youth mobilization. Use this in your city, use this in your town, use this at your home, at your movement, in whatever thing you make part. And as my last words, of course, you guys know that we have to follow like a script here. I also have some post-its and notes here, but now I really want to talk with my heart with you guys. Here in Brazil, we have the custom to hug. And of course, we can do that now during the pandemic and living online. So I really want to send an online hug for all of you to show all my grateful for this event. You also can hug yourself and try to close your eyes and feel everybody together, making the difference around the world. Yeah, that's my last message. I'm Felipe from Brazil.
And I'm Namrata from India. And
see you
bye-bye.
guys. Bye-bye.
Take care.